Alright y'all, welcome back to Broken Ladder Sports Gaming. Today we have an awesome video lined up. If you've been following this channel from the beginning, you know we started the whole thing with a home run challenge, hitting a batting practice home run with every pro player in Backyard Baseball 2001. I made the video, posted it, and didn't think much about it. Checking back months later, I saw that it did pretty well, and decided to start putting more stuff up. I followed up the original video with another home run challenge with every player in Backyard Baseball 2003 hitting moonshots, but today we're doing something even cooler. I've played this game for a long time, but I'm still always discovering new features. One such feature is the trick shot. Basically, on every field, there are obstacles that make noise when you hit them. I wanted to know how long it would take me to do all of them, so that's what we're doing today. This is a trick shot compilation. I played 2003 more than any version growing up, but at least one of these trick shots took me until last year to find. I guess I just wasn't that good when I was younger, but that's fine. Some of them are easier than others, and there still might be ones that I haven't seen yet, but this video should be pretty comprehensive. Some of them are glaringly obvious, and others are kind of sneaky, but I promise they're all very satisfying. I planned out my strategy, opting to begin with the easiest fields first, and working my way towards the toughest ones. As usual, I chose hard mode, no swing spot, no pitch locator, and 9-inning games to cut down on time between attempts, though we usually only played 8 as we were the home team winning most games. I wasn't sure how long it would take me, but I knew it was possible. All I had to do was put together the greatest power hitting squad I could and swing for the fences, or the pools, or the vans, or whatever. So let's pick our players in order of where they'll be hitting in the lineup. The obvious first pick is Pablo. He's the GOAT, and the best non-generic hitter in the game. Next, we'll take a pro, Sammy Sosa. A slightly worse hitter than Pablo, but still a monster at the plate. After Sammy, we gotta go with Ken Griffey Jr., and he's our last player with 100 out of 100 power, and our first lefty bat. We return to taking backyard kids with rockstar Ahmed Khan, who has awesome power and great contact. After Ahmed, we're picking Mikey. He's another big lefty bat and our best contact hitter. We obviously need someone to pitch for us, and Angela can get out of innings quickly to speed up the process and get our team back to the plate. She has a ton of power too, even though she swings and misses often, but it's worth the trouble. Our third pro is not Mike Piazza, but Albert Pujols. He's like a knockoff Sammy Sosa with less power and speed, but speed obviously doesn't matter for this challenge. Now we'll take Piazza. And to wrap up the roster, we gotta pick Keisha P. Her swing is super quick, and she pulls the ball very effectively with big power. So that's the squad. The first field we're gonna tackle is Scrapco. Definitely the easiest of the 12. All you have to do here is hit a car in left field, and there's a junkyard full of them. Sammy came to bat in the first inning and crushed an inside slow ball to dead center, but it hit the fence and came back into the field of play. In the third inning, Sally Dobbs served another slow meatball to Pablo, a big mistake, and he blasted it over the wall in left field, but somehow narrowly missed the Blue Beetle. The next batter was Sammy again, and he sent one on a line to the fence, but not quite over it. Then, in the fourth, Mike Piazza and his slow swing got a hold of an inside right hook and smacked a few cars to complete chapter 1 of our mission. Our next challenge was at Parks Department number 2 with the Jumbotron in dead center. I decided to leave Big City Stadium and the Super Colossal Dome out because they're essentially clones of this field, and it just seemed redundant. Anyway, Marky Dubois left way too much plate on an outside slow ball and Pablo boomed it. I thought we might get this one done on just the second pitch we saw. In the next inning, hungry for another one, Piazza lined a high heater out to center, but it got robbed. We didn't see much until Mike came up again in the 7th and took Dominic Hoskins to the wall in left center, coming up short and wide. We ended the first game without accomplishing our goal. That was fine, because in Game 2, Griffey sent Marky's 4th pitch to straightaway center with major pop. If it cleared the screen without getting the sound effect, it wouldn't count, but the towering fly ball came back down and hit the Jumbotron square in the middle. I was feeling pretty confident. Field 3 was Steel Stadium, the best hitter's park in the game. So for this one, what we had to do was splash one into the pool in deep left. Angela stepped up to the plate in the second inning and cleared the trees, but bounced it over the pool. In the third, The secret weapon obliterated an inside slow ball off the screen and left. Right size, wrong shape. 3 batters later, Ahmed saw an inside fastball that he liked and did his thing. 271 feet directly into the deep end, and we were off and running. After less than 2 full games, we had checked 3 shots off the list easily. None of these were too scary though, and things were going to ramp up a bit on field number 4. That field was dirt yards, an unpredictable surface with a blue station wagon in deep left center. This one is a bit tricky, because if you keep your stance open, you'll probably miss to the left, and if you're square, then you have to time the swing just a bit early. Ahmed lofted the 5th pitch of the game high and deep, but way left and not close. 2 innings later, Sammy grounded a spitball up the middle and made it to first, which gave us a power-up. We immediately utilized the screaming line drive we got with Angela, and she flat-tired the wagon with precision. So right now we've got 4 shots in 19 innings. Not too shabby, but as mentioned, every field gets a little bit harder. On playground commons, you gotta hit the red van in right field behind the tall fence, which is tough for a few reasons. First, you obviously have to get a hold of one, because the outfield is pretty deep. It's gotta be sky high to clear the fence, but not too far or you'll go over the van. So it has to be a towering fly ball to right field, but we only had 2 lefties on the team, so most pitches would need to be sliced down the line, and that's a lot harder than pulling the ball. Again, I thought we had this one in the bag early when Sammy blasted an outside heater to right. Perfect height and distance, but slightly left of the target. A slow ball middle to Angela came up just short and bounced off the high fence. Ken loves a nice high inside pitch, and he got a slow ball in the hot zone that I was sure was our ticket off the playground. But he too came up short. I promise I did this on hard mode, but even then the CPU still throws bad pitches. Mikey saw one and crushed it high, deep, and into the van for a nice honk and a trot around the bases. 23 innings in and 5 targets acquired. It was also nice validation for the roster construction that 5 different players had contributed. Our trend of hot starts continued at Sandy Flats, a giant field and our first one with 2 trick shots to complete, the small puddle in left field and the big one in right. For our first close call, Luann tossed one of her patented high heaters to Ken on the outside edge of the plate and he jumped on it, sending one directly toward the water and left, but it barely missed and hit the driftwood. The very next pitch, to Ahmed, was also driven very deep to left, but he overshot the puddle by about a foot. In the 4th, Mikey pulled a fastball to deep right and nearly bounced one into the big puddle that would have counted, but the sand stopped that from happening. Next up was Angela, who saw yet another heater, this one high and outside, and clobbered it up the right field line. It bounced around the wood before dunking into the water and knocking out one of our 2 shots. Not the prettiest dinger, as we couldn't see the distance, but we weren't going for style points, just trying to meet the requirements of the challenge. Our last close call of the game came in the form of Ahmed hitting one to the right end of the small puddle, but it was caught significantly short of the water and didn't have a chance to bounce in. In Game 2, Ahmed overshot the left field puddle once again. Mike pulled one left and hit the wood, bouncing wide of the target. Keisha finally got involved in the second inning, but she was also just too strong and cleared the obstacle. Albert was having a bad day, but we'll give him some love for a decent effort up the line that was only sort of close. Sammy hit a beach ball pitch to the same spot Keisha did, and we were starting to get a bit frustrated with how long this was all taking. Luckily, Mikey came up a few batters later and lined one into left, just over the wood and into the puddle. A perfect shot. We were now 34 innings into our effort and seemingly halfway done, with 6 of the 12 fields checked off the list. Nice work, Orioles. The Paveway is a straightforward non-grass stadium and offers an interesting challenge. This one is not so much about precision, but rather about raw power. For this trick shot, I wanted to hit one into the alley, but in the air. I still don't really understand the rules for this field, but usually when you bounce one off the screen and left, it's just a double. I figured the only way to properly execute this was to clear everything. Yet again, we jumped on our opponents early, with Sammy blasting a center cut right hook super deep, but not quite into the alley. Then Ken did his thing with a high outside slow pitch, but pulled it too far right. After Ken, Ahmed lined one into the green wall, so our first inning went well, but not well enough. In the second inning, Mike tried to go the short way with a drive up the line, but it bounced too short. Keisha was absolutely feeling it and sent a bomb that would have completed this challenge, but ultimately ended up foul, and that doesn't count. Ahmed pulled a Sammy in his second at-bat and hit the middle of the alley. Angela somehow pulled an outside slow ball in her second trip to the plate, but didn't pull it enough, hitting the green wall and probably proving that you can't clear that wall. Orange background Keisha did her best with another high outside changeup and came up about 2 feet short of her goal. At some point we picked up an aluminum power bat, but I figured that using it would be too cheesy. Angela went long, but too short.
And that's an out.
Keisha went long, but too far right. Ahmed also went short. And Mike's best effort wasn't enough.
And that's an out.
Our last and best hit was Sammy's moonshot on a hanging left hook, and I was fairly confident we were going to get out of this level in one game, but he couldn't put enough on it either. Pablo saw one pitch in Game 2 before crushing another fly ball to left, into the alley, and off the wall. Mikey sliced one, but the result was the same. No dice. Ahmed followed suit with another shot to left, and Sammy somehow pulled a close stance slow ball on the outside corner to deep left, just not left enough. Pablo ripped one up the line, but not hard enough, and we were getting antsy almost 2 full games into our effort, with little to show for it. At long last, in the 7th inning, Albert came to mash and combined just enough distance with just enough accuracy, popping a left hook that crept off the screen and into the alley for a true dinger. It wasn't the prettiest homer, but again, this wasn't a beauty contest. We were now 49 innings and 7 stadiums deep into the challenge, so it was taking a little less than a full game to hit each shot, which I would consider pretty impressive, but things were going to get tough soon. In my opinion, Tin Can Alley is the worst field in the game. Power-ups are ineffective here, and the whole thing is just kind of dumb, but there's one cool thing you can do: clear the buildings. The range to do this is kind of left center to right center, but any batting stance will do. You just have to get way under the ball and send it a mile high. The game was definitely playing with my emotions at this point, as we once again had a stellar shot at knocking it out in the first inning. Sammy went way deep to left field, but hit the buildings. I guess it was too far left? I don't know. 4 innings later, Ken did the same, a little closer to true center field. The 7th inning saw 2 more golden opportunities, with Sammy replicating his first inning hit and Mikey copying Ken's Oppo Taco blast, but to no avail. Pablo was our last hope in the 8th, but for whatever reason his moonshot was not effective. He picked up where he left off in the second game and crushed an inside heater to dead center. No cigar. Again in the 3rd, opposite field boomstick. Nope. Later, Ken went to the opposite field and hit the wall. Then Ahmed pulled one into the wall. I did this twice in the same game one time with Alex Rodriguez, so I knew it was possible, but I was having a whale of a time cracking the code this go-around. About a game and a half in, Sammy was completely fed up with the nonsense. He took Ahmed's little brother sky high to left center and finally overshot the wall to check this horrid stadium off the list. At 62 innings and 8 fields complete, we were still averaging less than an 8-inning game per shot. Our next stop was our Season 1 home field, Dubois Diamond. It was during that season that I realized you can hit not just the left field trough, but the pigs too. All of our targets so far had been tough to get to, but not that small, so this was another step up in difficulty. We didn't get anything going until the 3rd inning, when Albert split the difference and missed both the pigs and the trough. Later that inning, Pablo swatted a slow meatball into left, and honestly it didn't really get close, but I just wanted you guys to admire the distance on this one. 564 feet at Dubois is absurd. Anyway, Sammy was up next and on line to hit the pigs, but it got caught.
He's out.
His next at bat in the 5th, he narrowly missed wide left.
Goodbye, baseball.
Keisha snuck one over the fence in the 7th, but we were yet again facing a wasted game. A few hitters later, Marcellus lofted a slow ball high and inside to Sammy, who was set on becoming the challenge MVP, as he cleared the fence and bounced one into the trough, which counts, by the way. We were halfway done with this field, and we had officially got our swagger back. Oh, and if bouncing it in isn't to your liking, Ahmed came up in the same inning and shot one directly in. So we for sure accomplished our goal there. We were on a roll, and Mikey came up after Ahmed to do his part, but sadly was just short and jumped the piggies by less than a foot. No worries. Albert walked up to the plate in the 8th and hit the first thing he saw over the fence, off the mud, into a pig, who responded with a resounding oink, signaling that our work on the farm was finished. We had successfully kept our completion average under a game with 70 innings played and 9 shots hit, and we had a great field coming up next. For a few reasons, Ean Acres is my favorite field in the game. I beat a team 167-0 at this field, and it was our home stadium for Season 2 with the Expos, which you should definitely go watch if you haven't already. It has a super deep outfield and decently tall grass, so it plays pretty much straight up. It also has 2 crazy targets, one of which was a recent discovery. The shots here are equally challenging for different reasons. The kiddie pool beyond the left field fence is really deep and tiny. We got through the whole Expo season playing 8 games there without splashing a single homer into it. You have to hit the ball hard, but not crush it, and precise accuracy is paramount. Then there's the lawnmower, which is honestly probably more difficult. It sits just foul down the third base line and requires either a hard righty pull or a super late lefty swing that has to be timed just right, or you'll just get a foul ball animation at the plate. We had our work cut out for us. Though we were initially aiming to do the pool first, Mikey got confused and sort of tried to hit both in the same swing, smacking one right down the left field line, but way high.
Never coming down, Sonny, never.
Ahmed had a great attempt in the 4th inning, but he was short and wide. Ken went Aqua Taco in the 6th, but must have thought the swing set was on our list because he missed way right. Ahmed got a bit closer in the same inning, but also hit the swing. Down to our last out in the 8th, we actually went on a crazy run, with Sammy, Ahmed, Mikey, and Angela going back to back to back to back over the short fence in left field. In Game 2, Ken hit the swings again,
Bye-bye, Mr. Baseball.
Mikey went ham again and also hit the swings,
I think we need a new baseball.
and Keisha and Mike offered another 2 decent attempts at the lawnmower, with Keisha pulling a liner too hard and Piazza popping out.
Out of there.
Our third game was similarly frustrating, and we were starting to get away from what we needed to do. Albert was cold that game, but still managed to shoot one over the fence, short and left of the water. Angela hit basically the same spot, and Pablo fouled some high heat toward the mower, but not hard enough. It was after this game that I decided we needed to change things up. So I switched up our opponent's roster and took the field with more optimism in Game 4. We saw immediate results, with Pablo cracking pitch number 2 way high out of the screen and left. In the 2nd inning, Albert blasted off on a Sally Dobbs meatball. Given its height, at first I thought it was way too deep. Then, all of a sudden, it came down and hit the flamingo floaty with the most satisfying splash yet. 222 straight into the pool, and we all collectively exhaled. This field had been the toughest one yet, but we still had to cut the grass. In the 4th, Angela went long, and Albert went short and wide right. Albert came up again later with perfect touch, but again he didn't pull it enough. Pablo lined one high, as did Keisha, before Mikey gave us our best shot of the game, bouncing one right over the engine. I still don't know how that one missed, but oh well. Piazza came up short and fair in the 2nd, but the other Michael was not to be denied that day. In his 2nd at-bat, he jumped the mower again, even closer than the last time. His 4th inning plate appearance saw another perfect pitch just off the plate outside, and he sent a low liner wide left. Then, another low drive stayed on the third base line just long enough before slicing foul and dinging the mower For our second to last chapter of this challenge, we arrived at Goat Field, otherwise known as Casa de Pablo, the secret weapon's home turf. There were 2 left field trick shots to hit here, one much easier than the other. First, there's the cart, which is honestly huge and doesn't usually pose much of a problem, even though it's pretty deep. The other target is the tall and very thin cactus. I had only ever hit it once in my entire career and was super worried it was going to take forever to finish this level. I didn't realize Pablo was having an off day for game 1 and forgot to move him down on the lineup, but no matter. He banged a mere second pitch over the short wall and left, but it landed in between the cart and the cactus. Sammy was up next, and not to be outdone, he also took a mirror to deep left field, but missed the cactus very wide left. Mike nearly got us halfway there in his second inning at bat, sneaking one over and out, but narrowly wide of the cactus. In the 5th, Ken overshot the cart, but it did feel good off the bat. We got a screaming line drive for the last inning and put it to decent use, but neither Angela, nor Albert, nor Mike could hit anything, and the first game ended unceremoniously. We had 5 close calls in the first 5 innings of Game 2, each one landing closer and closer to the elusive cactus. Pablo, then Mikey, then Pablo again, then Ahmed, and finally Albert all whiffed on the cactus, but we were getting really close and it felt like the hit had to be coming soon. Pablo switched up his approach in the 6th, opting to go for the cart, but he was a foot short and we got the stone wall sound effect instead of a wooden cart one. Besides that, Mikey split the targets, Sammy sent one over the cart, and Angela crushed one perfectly toward the cart, but it got robbed. Nothing happened in Game 3 until the 3rd, when Sammy missed the cactus high and wide. We got another screaming line drive, which Pablo and Sammy wasted their opportunities with. We had one more swing with it when Ken stepped up to the plate and got hold of an outside right hook, sending it hurtling into left field, off the top of the wall and into the cart. A little cheesy, sure, but we were starting to lose patience with this field, and we were taking anything we could get at that point. Pablo's last-ditch effort in the 8th legitimately would have hit the cactus based on the path of the ball's shadow, but he somehow blasted it out of the screen and over the cactus. By our 4th attempt, I was wondering how possible the challenge really was. Sammy got a right hook in the sweet spot and sent it deep to left on target, but we knew from the sound off the bat that it was going to be short. Mikey was up first in the next inning and received a lazy left hook from Amir. I knew it had the distance, but with how skinny that dang cactus is, I really didn't know for sure. The sound effect wasn't exactly what we were looking for, but whatever. Mikey put himself firmly in the lead for MVP with an accurate shot to left field, and we were finally done at the Casa. With 134 innings and 11 fields completed, we had actually lowered our average to just over 12 innings, but the last level was going to be crazy, and we knew the challenge was far from over. I should preface the last part of this video by saying that under no other circumstances would I play at Cement Gardens. It's boring, it's cheesy, and there's a giant unbeatable wall in right field. When I have to do away games here during playthroughs, I complain. There's really only one cool thing about it, and that's the mother of all trick shots, the dumpster. Sure, it's neat if you hit the dumpster, but if you sink one in, then it's a home run. I don't think I had ever done that before making this video, but I had seen other YouTubers do it, and I was thirsty to share in their glory. Pablo, in all his greatness, smashed the very first pitch of the game to straightaway center, which wasn't all that close, but still very cool. In the 2nd inning, Albert tried his hand at a bounce shot off the wall in left center, but he was wide left. Later, Pablo boomed another homer to dead center, this one closer than the last, but still pretty far off target. I thought Ahmed had come to save the day in that same inning when he sent a big liner out, and it was going in the right direction, but it just didn't have the distance. Another bounce shot from Mike came up short, another Ahmed shot went wide, and Pablo's 3rd good swing was perfectly aimed but underpowered. Nothing happened through almost the first half of Game 4 until Sammy came up to bat and did this. Barely dropped in, but how about that? In less than 2 games, we had conquered the last level, and nothing felt sweeter than watching Sammy round the bases one last time. 145 innings in, 12 fields down, and we had finally done it. I wanted to give Mikey the MVP, But for what he did at Tin Can Alley, Dubois, and of course the Gardens, it had to go to Sammy. He's long been my favorite hitter in the game and just has a knack for performing in the clutch. Never had his services been in more demand than during this absurd challenge. It was glorious. To be totally transparent, I thought this video would be harder to make than it was. I thought it would require far more blood, sweat, and tears than it did, but I'm very grateful that it didn't. I guess when every swing by every player in every at-bat is designed to hit one specific spot on the field, it doesn't take forever. I had a blast putting all of this together, and though I'll have to find something else to do for the next challenge, this one was awesome. I've only recently gotten back into professional baseball after leaving my avid fandom largely in my childhood. But this game has helped revive my love for America's pastime. If you haven't played backyard baseball, you absolutely must. It's easy to pick up and you can make it as difficult or as simple as you want. And more than 2 decades after being released, it's still so great. But anyway, that'll be the video. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.